And now I would like to welcome all of you to APH JAWS with Google Docs. Jim, take it away.
Thanks, Leanne, and welcome everyone. It is Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I hope you're all looking forward to a productive week, whatever it is that you are going to be doing. We are so very happy to have Mike Wood and Elizabeth Whitaker with us today. The outline for the events of today are as follows. We're going to start with objectives after we do a little bit of housekeeping. Elizabeth will get into an overview of Google Docs and then get into demonstrating some of the aspects of using Google Docs with JAWS. Mike Wood will join in for a wrap up, and just a reminder that this is 1.5 hours of CEUs. We were listening to some of the feedback that you guys were providing, indicating that you wanted these JAWS segments to go a little bit longer. So this will go beyond the 1 o'clock hour and wrap up somewhere probably between 1:10, 1:15, and 1:30 this afternoon. We do ask that you do put the questions in the chat when Leanne does open them up. Again, just a reminder that we will keep the chat closed while Elizabeth is demoing the product, as those chats coming in can get a little bit verbose if you're using a screen reader. And one last reminder that this is not designed for you to follow along at home. So the pace is going to move a little faster than if this was something was meant for you to do while Elizabeth was presenting. So you are more than welcome to do that. But again, just a reminder that we have not set this up for you to follow along at home. So a reminder that we have 2 other webinars going on this week of June the 15th. On Wednesday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. we'll do a segment on our functional skills assessment. And then on Friday, our friends from HumanWare will join us to do an overview of the Mat Connect, and specifically using the distance classroom, and that'll be from 12 to 1. So feel free to join us for either of those, and check out our schedule for additional webinars that will be going on throughout the month of June and then into the month of July. So this is Elizabeth Whitaker. She's joining us from Vispero. She's going to be our presenter throughout the course of the next hour and 15 to 30 minutes. She is a technical writer with Vispero. And also joining us is Mike Wood. He is our strategic accounts manager in education for Vispero. I will add that both of them, along with myself, are coming to you from the great state of Ohio. And this is one of 7 perfect days that we get all year here in Ohio. We had 2 of them over the weekend. Our objectives for today are as follows. You, the participant, will learn the orientation and layout of a Google Doc. You, the participant, will learn 4 helpful commands to facilitate the navigation of a Google Doc. And then finally, you, the participant, will learn the steps to share a Google Doc for the purposes of viewing and collaborating. And so with that, I'm going to advance to the next screen, and I'm going to ask Elizabeth to jump in and join us.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. Thanks, Leanne. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today, and I appreciate APH asking me to do this. So, like Jim said, I am a technical writer with Vispero, and we produce a lot of training material, which I'll talk about a little later on. This includes webinars, videos, and also a lot of content on our site. So let's get to the tasks that I will be covering today. Now, I just want to let you guys know, I'm going to start out by, when I demonstrate, I'm going to start out by telling you what we're going to be talking about, what I'm going to be demonstrating, and then I'll share my screen and demonstrate, and then just kind of give you guys a rundown of what we just covered so that you can ask questions and we can get some dialogue going here. So today, like Jim said, I'm going to give you an overview of using Google Docs with JAWS, kind of just an overview of what Google Docs is. I will talk about enabling screen reader and Braille support, the accessibility options, and why those are important. I will give you an orientation and layout of Google Docs using JAWS. We'll create a Google Doc, we'll document in Google Docs, we'll open a Google Doc, and then finally we'll share a Google Doc. And I'll also be giving you some helpful keyboard commands that you can use with JAWS. So let's start with just an overview of Google Docs. Now, as you know, Google Docs is an online word processing application, and it includes document creation and editing features. You can also share and collaborate on documents and in real time. So, and that is accessible with JAWS. Like I said, we'll be sharing a document, and I will show you how to do that. You can reach Google Docs directly by visiting docs.google.com. That's docs.google.com. Just log in with your Google account. And if you're already logged in, like for example, if you're using Chrome and you're already logged in, you'll already be logged into Docs usually. So now let's talk about enabling screen reader and Braille support, these accessibility features. Turn on Google's screen reading and Braille support to read and edit documents using JAWS. And I'll show you here in just a minute. I'll show you what happens when you don't versus what happens when you do. Now, if you have a Braille display, you'll definitely want to enable the Braille support. But even without a Braille display, turning on the Braille support improves JAWS functionality. So with features like when you're trying to read tables, then when you enable the Braille support, that makes it easier to read that information. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and you guys are going to hear JAWS as well as see what's on the screen.
And I have turned the chat off at this time.
Let's see here.
Meeting controls.
Okay, I have shared my screen.
Letter dash
Can you
Google
guys
Doc.
see it?
Looks good.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, so I am already in Google Docs. I have a document open here. So if you want to enable screen reader support, you can press Control, Alt, and the letter Z. Now mine's already enabled, but I'm going to go ahead and press that, and let's see if it'll tell me that it is disabled or enabled. Let's see what it tells me. Sometimes, most of the time it will.
Alt Control Z. Document content edit. Screen reader support disabled.
Aha, and it did. So I'm going to press it again.
Alt Control Z. Screen reader support enabled.
I like it when things work like they're supposed to the first time around. All right, great. So now that we know screen reader support is enabled, there's also another way to get to this option. And when we're going to enable Braille support, in which you have to go in the menus to do that. So I'm going to press Alt-T to open the Tools menu here.
Alt-T. Chrome button menu.
Oh.
Customize and control escape.
All right, so that opened the Chrome button. I'll talk about that here in a minute and what to do if that happens.
Menu. Accessibility settings. Spelling and grammar escape.
Let's get out of
escape.
that.
Your name.
Let's try this again.
Alt-T. Menu. Tools.
There we go.
6 of 9.
And now I'm going to press C for accessibility.
C. Leaving menus. Accessibility settings dialog.
Now I can tab through this dialog here, and I'm going to do that and show you what options we have.
Turn on screen reader support checkbox checked. Required for Braille support and collaborator announcements. Learn more about screen reader support.
Okay, so this is already checked, of course, but if it wasn't the Braille reader support and the collaboration where it reads when people are collaborating the announcements, those two items won't show up. So if I press space here.
Space, not checked.
And I tab.
Learn more about screen reader support. Turn on screen magnifier support checkbox not checked.
It doesn't
Works
show
with
me.
third-party screen magnifier software. Learn more about screen magnifier support.
Okay, so I'm going to go back up and check it.
Turn on space, checked.
All right, now tab.
Learn more about screen. Turn on Braille support checkbox not checked. Works with third-party Braille hardware.
Okay, I'm going to space to check that.
Space, checked. Turn on collaborator announcements checkbox checked. Know when people enter and exit your files.
Okay, so collaborator announcements will tell you things like when people enter and exit files, who is working on the file, where they're working. Like it might say they're working 2 lines, a paragraph above you, or 2 lines below, or something like that. So you definitely want to have that option checked if you're going to be collaborating.
Turn on screen magnifier support checkbox not checked. Works with third-party screen magnifier software. Learn more about screen magnifier support.
Okay, I'm not going to check that because I don't use screen magnification, but if I did, I could check that option as well.
Learn more, cancel button, OK button.
I'm going to space here on OK.
Space, frame, document content edit.
Okay, now
100.
I can read this document, and I'll get to this in a minute with orientation and layout, but I'm going to turn off screen reader support. I'm going to show you what happens when I try to read a document though.
Alt Control Z. 100, your name.
Actually, it didn't do it this time.
Alt Control Z. 123, your name.
Okay, let me go back in the menu and do it.
Alt T,
Oh,
menu, tools, 6C. Leaving menus, exit, turn on screen space, not checked, exit, OK, OK space,
okay.
frame.
So now I'm in the document, and when I try to read with up and down arrows, nothing happens. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's try this keyboard command again.
Alt Control Z.
I think I bragged about it too soon. Okay, I'm going to go back to Tools.
Alt T, menu, tools, C.
And
leaving menus,
accessibility.
exit.
And most of the time, these keyboard commands do work. Just sometimes things happen. And
Turn on screen reader support checkbox.
Well, we
not
found sometimes things happen when using Zoom.
yes. So
exit, OK
that's
button.
why it's good to know more than one way of getting to a certain setting or option.
Space, frame.
Okay, so now it's enabled.
123, your city, street 1, 2.
And I can, read the document like I normally would. So yeah, once again, I pressed Alt-T to go to Tools and then C for accessibility. And then I tabbed through those options. So just to recap just a little bit here, let's go ahead and just recap. Oh, and by the way, both of those settings will remain enabled unless you change them. So they should remain enabled, but I'm going to go ahead and just recap a little bit about what we talked about. So, and hand it back over to you, Jim. So,
task switching, meeting control.
There we go. So, screen reader and braille support are needed in order to really gain functionality when you're using Google Docs with JAWS. So, to enable screen reader support, you press Alt-Control-Z. You can also go to Tools and Accessibility Settings and check the box. You can tab through that dialog and just check that box for Enable Screen Reader Support. And then you can check the box for Enable Braille Support and Collaborator Announcements. And then you tab to OK and press Space. All right, next, are there any questions? Do we want to open up for questions? Anybody?
Well, I was wondering if you had sort of that command that you were trying to use wasn't working. So is there sort of a quick troubleshooting thing that you might try if you were to like turning something off, like the screen reader, and turning it back on?
Sometimes you can navigate away from the window and go back and navigate back. Press Alt-Tab to navigate away, and then press Alt-Tab to navigate back. I was working with it earlier, and when I pressed the command the second time, it worked. So I'm not really sure why the inconsistency there, but if that command does not work, then you can just go to Tools, press Alt-T, and then C for accessibility settings. Now, when you open a Google Doc or you navigate back over to that window, it will usually tell you if screen reader support is enabled. It'll usually say screen reader support is enabled.
Right. And just a reminder, everybody, before we start bringing in some of the questions, that Leanne did place in the chat a link to the handout. Vispero had provided us with a number of handouts, and I believe that a link to this PowerPoint presentation is there as well. So, Leanne, I can see the questions accumulating in the chat. So,
yeah, all right. There is. Will this always work on that computer? I'm not sure of this. I'm assuming they're talking about, will JAWS always work on the remain?
Will it remain on? Is that the question? Maybe it will. If that's the question. If it's not, feel free to ask the question again. But if you enable screen reader and braille support, yes, it'll stay on. Now, if you sign out, then it would probably not be on when you sign back in.
Okay.
There's a chance it would not.
Yeah. What about the virtual PC cursor?
I'm actually going to talk about that here in just a minute. Yeah, we will get to that. That's very important. Good question.
Does having support enabled change the functionality for others using your device without a screen reader?
That's an excellent question. I don't know. I don't want to say I don't think so. I've not noticed it to do that, but there may be certain things that it does change. That's a good question, and I'll see if I can get an answer to that.
Okay. I have more than one student using a computer, but all need Braille support. Is this for a particular Google Doc or for all Google Docs that become open?
It is for all Google Docs that become open, and I would imagine that you would probably need to enable it for each account that is logged when you log in.
Okay. One person was stating, I think you have to be outside of editing the document for the command to work. Possibly.
Possibly that sometimes that works, but I did get it to work. The first time I did it, I was inside the document, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you believe these settings will stay across the account?
Yes,
or
they will.
Yes. Okay. So it's not specific by each document.
No, no.
Okay.
It's
You've
specific to the
answered
account.
them all.
All right.
How about if we do a poll question real quickly? And why don't we queue up that first poll question?
Okay. What word processors are you or your students currently using in the classroom? And you may select more than one. And if you can't access the poll, again, you're welcome to type them in the chat. The options are Google Docs, MS Word, iOS Notes, or other. And I'm sure we've forgotten something, so you're welcome to put that in the chat if we've forgotten the other. You again can select more than one if you are using multiple, or your students are using multiple word processors. So again, your choices are Google Docs, MS Word, iOS Notes, and other. And one person has put their Kurzweil in the chat as their other. Always helpful to know. Yes, you can select two of those. Open Office is another one that we didn't document down. So while these polls are coming in, are the commands different with NVDA? I know we're talking specifically about Google, so don't know if that's answerable. JAWS.
Yes, I would think they're the same because these are not specific JAWS commands. So these are Google Docs commands.
Okay.
So
maybe.
I would think so. Maybe.
The
Yeah,
answer's
for
maybe.
most of them, probably.
Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and let you know 79% using MS Word, Microsoft Word, 66% Google Docs, 20% iOS Notes, and those are 8% of other. So nice to know what you guys are utilizing. And we can see that 66% with the Google Docs. That's why you're here.
All right, Elizabeth, so we've got your next slide queued up.
Okay.
Google Doc navigation.
Orientation and layout, right? Yes. All right. So that is it, right? That's next. Okay, yes. All right. So, and we just got this question about the JAWS virtual PC cursor. I'm going to talk just a second about that. So in JAWS, we have several cursors, but the two that are important here are the PC cursor and the virtual PC cursor. So the PC cursor is the system cursor. So when you're in, let's say, a Word document and you're navigating and you have an insertion point, you can follow that cursor. That's your PC cursor when you're using JAWS. When you're on the internet, since you don't have an insertion point, there needed to be a way to read that information just like you would with the PC cursor. So the JAWS virtual PC cursor was created. Well, when you're in Google Docs and you're in a document, you need to be able to have an insertion point. So by default, the JAWS virtual PC cursor is automatically turned off when you're in a Google document. If for some reason that doesn't happen, you can always press the plus key on the numpad, numpad plus, and it'll say PC cursor or it'll say virtual PC cursor. But if you press Insert Z, you can toggle that on or off. So if it's on, just press Insert Z, and that's a JAWS command to toggle that off. Then you can navigate as you would in a word processor. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to talk about some navigation, some ways to navigate and understand the layout. All right.
Meeting control. Zoom. You cannot start. Meeting letter dash Google
Okay,
Docs
can you
dash
guys
Google.
see that?
Looks good.
Okay, good. It was giving me some error.
Your name.
Okay. So if you press Insert F8, which we're going to do, we can explore the controls on the toolbar. So I'm going to do that now.
F8.
Oops.
F8. Virtual PC cursor.
Oh, well, here we go. I need to turn off.
Virtual Docs home link. Use virtual PC cursor off.
There we go.
No toolbar found on page.
Uh-oh.
Yes, there's a toolbar.
Is there? Wow.
PC cursor.
Isn't it great how things really work when you need them to? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Let me
Zoom.
navigate
You
to another
cannot
window.
escape. Letter dash Google.
And, wow, this is really
Use
strange.
virtual PC cursor on.
That's okay. While you're navigating, I will let everybody know
Cursor.
that this is
Letter.
one of the
Letter.
reasons why
Letter.
we frequently
Letter.
suggest
Letter.
some of
Letter.
the videos
Start
that are
checkbox not
recorded
checked.
ahead of time to learn some of these
300
things,
your name.
because these things happen.
Yes, they
No
do.
toolbar found on.
Oh, it's still telling me there's no toolbar. Okay. Well,
One.
I'm
Your
just
name.
going to talk about the toolbar. I'm so sorry, guys. That is really strange. All right. So you can press Insert F8 to go to the toolbar, and then you can use your up and down arrow keys to navigate through the options. And you'll see a lot of things like bold and underline and spell check and things like that. And you can press enter on the choice that you want. So if you wanted to check your document for spelling, you could down arrow to spell check, and you could press enter. And then you could navigate with using tab and the arrow keys in the different dialog boxes there. So for example, if there were no spelling errors, you could just tab to close and press space to close. So that's how the toolbar works. I'm sorry, I'll try to see if I can do that a little later on. I'll exit docs and come back in and try it again. But anyway, so yeah, just insert F8 and then up and down arrow keys, and then just press enter to activate the choice that you want. Now, you can access the menus by pressing Alt and a corresponding letter, like Alt F for File or Alt T for Tools. In a lot of applications, you can just press the Alt key and bring down the menu bar. However, when you do this in Google Docs, it's going to access the menu bar of your browser, like mine is Chrome, so it's going to go to the Chrome menus. So I can press Alt and F and access the File menu.
Alt F. Menu. File. 1 of 9.
Now,
Share S.
I
1 of
can
18.
down arrow through the menu.
New N black right pointing pointer submenu. Open O Control plus O.
And
3
I
of
can
18.
press Escape to get out of
Escape.
it.
New N black right escape. Leaving
Maybe.
menus.
Okay.
Frame.
So
100. Your name.
if for some reason, sometimes, just like with the Alt Control Z, sometimes those keyboard commands don't work quite right. If it just keeps bringing up the Chrome menu when you press Alt F, for example, add Shift to that command. So you will press Alt Shift F instead of Alt F to access the file menu. Most of the time, though, those will work. All right, another command you can use to orient yourself, you can also press Alt, Shift, and H to access help, which I'm going to go ahead and do now. And I can down arrow through the options once again, just like the other menus, and press enter on the one I want to activate it. So I'm going to go ahead and press that command right now.
Alt Shift H. Menu. Help. 8 of 9.
And I'll just down arrow here for...
Search the menus left paren Alt plus slash right paren edit combo.
And notice when you are arrowing through these menus, it gives you other keyboard commands to use.
Docs help H. Training T. 2 of 8.
And I could press enter on that if I wanted to. I'll hit escape to get out of it though.
Leaving menu. Escape.
All right, now for a very useful, well, they're all useful, but for an extremely useful command here that if you're new to Google Docs, you may want to use, Control/ will bring up a list of keyboard commands. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Control/ keyboard shortcuts dialog.
Okay, now this comes up in a dialog, but it also comes up kind of like a web page. So really here we want to turn on our virtual PC cursor once again by pressing Insert plus Z. And I'm going to go ahead and do that so that we'll have the ability to arrow around and
use virtual PC cursor on.
Use these quick navigation keys that we have in JAWS, like T for table and H for heading. So now we can just navigate the page using arrow keys, navigation quick keys. So for example, I'll go ahead and press the letter T.
Table with 2 columns and 8 rows. Column 1, row 1. Heading level 3 text formatting. Spans 2 columns.
And now I'll just down arrow to read some of these keyboard commands and show you how this works.
Bold. Control plus B. Italic. Control plus I. Underline. Control plus U.
Okay, you can also search for a specific command or a category. So let's try that. I'm going to go I'm going to press the letter E to go to an edit box here.
Wrapping to top. Edit combo list box.
And I'm going to press enter to activate
Enter.
this control.
Search keyboard shortcuts. Edit combo. Search keyboard shortcuts.
Now you heard that little pop. That indicates that forms mode is on. And I won't say too much about forms mode except that when you're navigating on web pages, we, like I just said, we use those quick nav keys like T for table and H for heading. So if you were to try to type in this box, it would, if you typed a T, it would try to move to a table. So forms mode exists so that you can turn it on, you enter on the field, or you tab to the field and it turns it on, and then you can type. And so I'm going to go ahead and type the word navigation.
Navigation.
And press enter.
Enter. Return to full list. Edit combo.
And I'm going to down arrow.
No search results for navigation.
Okay, there aren't any, so let's try another thing.
Wrapping to top. Search space.
Go back here and select all and get rid of that and type the word read.
R-E-A-D. Enter. Collapsed. Search results for read.
Okay, now.
Heading level 3 screen reader support. Toggle screen reader support. Control plus Alt plus E or Alt plus Shift plus Graph. Table end. Close button.
And that's all we have.
Close
now
button.
There's also, I'm going to tab through this list and.
Close button. Keyboard shortcuts dialog. Search keyboard. View all in help center link. Return to full list button.
So now I could press space here.
Space. Search keyboard shortcuts. Edit combo. Application mode.
Maybe I could.
App virtual piece. Search edit comp. Navigation text formatting list. Table bold. Control plus.
So you can return to the full list. So I could tab to close and press space. I'm just going to go ahead and escape.
Escape. Frame.
To get out of that. All right, so once again, you can just tab through that dialog box, press Control/ to bring it up, tab through that dialog box, and use your quick nav keys, use your arrow keys to read the information. All right, so when you exit, it returns to your document, and then you probably want to go ahead and press Insert Z once again to toggle the JAWS Virtual PC cursor off. Since we're back in a document, we want it to read correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
All right.
100. Your name.
Let's try this again to see if we get a toolbar.
No toolbar found on page.
Well, all right. So those are just some basic navigation or basic ways to learn how to navigate and kind of get acclimated with the layout. We'll get into navigating an actual document here in a few minutes. But,
meeting controls. Meeting controls.
Go ahead and hand it back over to you, Jim.
Okay.
So, yeah, do you guys have any questions?
I've just turned chat back on to see if there's any questions that come in. They were patiently waiting, I am sure. I did put the handout link again inside the chat, and that holds actually multiple documents on that link. So it's a link of links. Sachin, I'm not quite sure what your question is with TTS name.
That would be probably text-to-speech engine?
Text-to-speech, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm using Ava. I'm using one of the voices, vocalizer expressive voices with JAWS that you can download.
I'm glad you knew because I did not know what that meant. Yes, this is being recorded and will be available later. What key is insert on a Mac?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I can find out. If anybody has any questions today that I do not know the answers to, please email them to training@vispero.com and I'll be sure to get an answer for you. I'm not sure about that because I'm assuming if you're using a Mac and you're using Windows on a Mac, I'm not sure what those commands would be, but I can find out for you.
Have you found if it is best to use documents with Google Chrome as the browser?
It works well with other browsers. That's a really good question. It does work well with other browsers. I like it with Chrome personally. This is just my preference because I'm already signed into Chrome. So I am just automatically signed into Docs as well.
I think we're ready to go on. We'll let you guys think of your questions and put them on an extra Word doc and paste them in when we open the window again for chat. So
Right,
Jim
I'm
has
going.
create a Google Doc slide up.
Okay, I'm going to try this. Okay. So, all right, so there, obviously there are several ways of performing various tasks, and creating a document is one of them. But one way to create a Google Doc that's works really well is when you're in Google Docs, you can go to the File menu and New, and then you can choose Document from the menu, which I'm going to do here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So that's the way I'm going to show you to do it, and then I'll show you how to rename that document because it doesn't give it a name automatically. So, all right. Now,
Meeting controls. Task switching. Letter.
okay, can you guys see that and hear that?
Your name.
Yep.
Okay, all right, great. All right, so I'm going to press Alt F. I went ahead and closed out Docs and opened it again, so maybe it'll work better this time. I'm going to press Alt F to open the File menu, and then I'll press N for New. So let's do that now.
Alt F. Menu. File. N. Document. 1 of 6.
Okay, so automatically lands on Document. If it didn't for any reason, which I'm sure it will, but if it didn't, you can just arrow down, press up and down arrow till it does. But I'm going to press Enter.
Enter. Use virtual PC cursor off. Leaving menus. Untitled-Google Chrome. Untitled document-Google Docs-Google Chrome. Frame. About : blank. Document content edit. Screen reader support enabled.
Okay.
Screen reader support enabled. On.
Now, I wanted you guys to hear all of that because it let you know that the virtual PC cursor was off, and it also let you know that screen reader support is enabled. So now let's rename the document. I'm going to press Alt F to
You said
once
F
again,
as in Foxtrot?
yes, Alt F as in Foxtrot. Yes. Alt F as in Foxtrot to go to the File menu, and then I'm going to press R for rename. So let's do that now.
Alt F. Chrome button menu. Escape.
Nope.
Frame.
Let's
Document.
see.
Alt F. Menu.
There we go.
File. 1R. Leaving menus. Untitled document. Rename edit. Untitled document.
Okay, and I'm just going to give it a name here.
PRESENTATION space
I'm not
DOCUM.
very original today,
ENT.
so then I'll press Enter.
Enter. Located in my Drive Google Drive folder. Presentation document Google Docs Google Chrome. Frame.
Okay, so now we have a document with no text, but it's named. So once again, you press Alt F for the File menu, F as in Foxtrot, go to the File menu, press N as in Nancy for New, and then down arrow to Document, or you should just be placed on that option and press Enter. And then if you want to rename that document, press Alt F once again to go to the File menu, R for rename, type in a name, and press Enter. Now while we're here, let's try this toolbar again. And I'm not getting anything, so.
PC cursor.
Okay. But I could go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and type a sentence here.
TASSA space RENTASCOUMENT period. Enter. New line. This is a presentation document. Blank.
And I just use my arrow keys to go ahead and read that. We're going to get to that here in just a few minutes, of course, too. All right.
Meeting controls.
So do we have any questions about
All.
creating a document?
And I have turned the chat back on so we can see if any of those come in with
Maybe
your creative name.
And maybe as we're waiting for a question, we can send out that second poll question.
Okay, so as a professional serving students who are blind and visually impaired, and those could be adult students as well, what is your biggest challenge using a screen reading tool in a classroom or school setting, or it could be work setting, depending on who you're serving as a professional? Is it training materials? Is it installation and setup? Is it actually teaching the students to use the technology? Or again, is it other? And I have opened the chat, so if you pick other, tell us what is your biggest challenge using a screen reading tool? What is your biggest challenge. So one of our others is all three. We're looking for the biggest one out of all three of those. Training materials, installation and setup, or teaching students to use the documents. And when you get a chance, you have one person who is asking to please demonstrate how to do spell check in a Google Doc.
Okay. I just got the toolbar to work, so I think I can get to it now. And there is a keyboard command for that too.
Okay, and then, so some of the things in the chat are things like troubleshooting on the fly, keeping up with the changes in both the screen reader and how it interacts with other things, constant variable of random updates on either side, knowing how to solve issues when the command does not work. So let's see, out of the choices we gave you, 46% was teaching students to use the technology as you found your biggest challenge with the screen reading tool. 29% training materials, 14% installation and setup, and then 10% of those were the ones in the chat. So thank you so much. So some of the other things that I saw, let's see, supporting students throughout the whole day, all of the above. But let's see, how often do you run into these little glitches with Google Docs, Elizabeth? Because they do find students are resistant to using it with screen readers because they seem to have the same little glitches.
I don't use it all that often. I do use it, and for the most part, it works, well. And there can be so many variables as to why a certain thing isn't working. I find that, for example, just a few minutes ago, I went ahead and exited Google Docs and got back in and opened a document, and here I am, and I hope when I share my screen here in just a minute, it's going to work, because it did just a second ago. So I think sometimes it's just a matter of there could be something on the page that you don't know is there, that perhaps isn't being read readily, or sometimes turning off or turning on the virtual PC cursor and then turning it back off again helps. So yeah, I think sometimes it's just a matter of maybe knowing multiple ways of doing things. For example, if Alt-Control-Z doesn't turn on screen reader support, then you know to go into the menus, to press Alt-T as in Tango, and go into the Tools menu, press C to go to the accessibility options.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question.
I think so. I think using spell check and then formatting Google Docs, I think you're getting ready to head that because Jim has opened a Google Doc.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about opening, and then when we do that, I will show you the spell check as well. So when you actually first open Google Docs, you have a list of recent documents. So you can arrow through that list and you can press enter to open the desired document. I'm not going to do that right now, but that is one way of doing it. While you're in a document, you can press Control-O, just like you would in Word or other applications. Control-O, Oscar, to access the open dialog box. And one thing I really do like about Docs is that when you do that, you have that list of files right there. You don't have to tab around and find it. And you can, once again, arrow to the desired document and you can press enter. And then you can just navigate the document as you would in any other word processor. And I'm going to go over some keyboard commands for that here in just a second. Just to let you know, you can close a document by pressing Control F4. That closes the document window. And if you have more than one document open, it will close the current document that is in focus and then place you in the other document. So, and the documents are automatically saved. That's another really neat thing about using Google Docs, is that they're automatically saved. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again here.
Okay, and I've turned chat off, so you can do that.
I think.
Not quite. You're almost there.
There we go. Okay.
Meet.
All right.
Zoom. Presentation document. This is a presentation blank.
Okay. So are we good now? Can you guys see this?
This is a presentation blank.
Okay, great. Thanks. I like to ask just in case. All right, so I'm going to go ahead while I'm thinking about it.
Toolbar buttons
yes.
dialog. List 1 list view. Undo left paren control plus Z right paren button. 1 of 29.
Okay, so I pressed insert F8 to access the toolbar, and we can down arrow through these options, and it gives you keyboard commands. And I'm just going to go to spell check really quickly here.
Redo left paren control
Actually, let me
plus
go
Y
make a
right paren
mistake
button.
first.
Escape. Escape. This is a present is a pre E S E S blank.
Okay.
This feature is only available.
There we go.
Toolbar buttons dialog. Redo left paren control plus Y right. Print left paren control plus P. Spelling and grammar check left paren control plus Alt plus X right paren button.
So notice it said Control Alt X. You can actually get to the spelling and grammar check just by pressing Alt Control X.
Enter.
I'll press Enter.
Presentation document dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome. Changed presentation to suggestions presentation button.
All right. It already gave me the suggestion. I could tab through here.
Ignore button. Accept button. More options button menu. Accept
I want to
button.
accept.
Space. The document looks good. Document looks good. Close button.
That's cute. Okay, I'll press
Frame.
space on
Document
close.
content space. This is a presentation blank.
And there I am. So I'm back in my document. Okay, so let's open a new document here. Let's open a one that we have. I'm going to press Control O.
Control O. Open a file dialog. Frame. Files and folders grid view. Files and folders grid view. Selected.
Now this is in grid view, so I only have a few files here. I'm going to press, ordinarily I would use up and down arrows. I'm going to press the right arrow key here.
Letter shared Google Docs. 2 of 3.
Okay, now it said letter and it said shared. That means I have shared this document with somebody. I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well, but I'm going to press enter to open this.
Enter. Untitled dash Google Chrome. Letter dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome. Frame.
And here
Screen
we have,
reader support enabled. On page 1. Your name 123. Your street. Your city.
okay, and that's just a template that I had pulled up. But notice it told me that screen reader support was enabled. It told me I was on page 1. That's good to know. That's nice that it tells you that. So now we can navigate in a document just like we would in a Word document or in other applications. We can use up and down arrow to navigate up or down a line.
You are no longer editing near collaborators. 123 Your street. Your name. Liz. 123 Your street. Your city. Street 1. Left paren 123.
I can press right and left arrow to navigate by character.
1, 2, 3. Right paren.
Or left arrow here.
3, 2, 1. Left paren.
I could add control to those commands and navigate by word. So control right arrow navigates to the right a word at a time.
123 right paren. 123 456 blank.
And control left arrow to the left.
456 123 left paren.
And I could press control home to go to the top of the document.
Top of file. Your name. Liz Whitaker is editing in your selection.
And I can press control end to go to the bottom.
Bottom of file. Your name. You are no longer editing near collaborators.
And I don't know why it thinks that I'm logged in twice here. I'm not really sure. Maybe something weird happened and it was logged into another account. I'm not sure. But anyway, there we have it. So you just heard what happens when it thinks you're collaborating, even though I'm not. Maybe it did that because I've shared it with other Google accounts that I have. But it does announce that information. So yeah, you can navigate just like you would in a Word document. I could go up here and I can press Control Home to go to the top.
Top of file. Your 123 Your street.
I could edit this. I could right arrow.
2, 1, 2, 3.
If I want to change that street number, I can backspace that out.
3, 2, 1.
I can type in
2, 3, 4.
And then I can read that.
Your name 234 Your street. You are no longer editing near collaborators.
Okay. So that's just a little bit of information about how you can use some keyboard commands to navigate once you're in a Google Doc. So once again, you can press Control O to open a document and then down arrow through the list and choose a document, press enter. You could also go to the file menu with Alt F as in Foxtrot, then down arrow to open or press O and enter. So you can do it several different ways. So yeah, do we have any questions about opening documents?
You had some questions about formatting.
Okay. Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
What were those about?
It really was just how do you format?
How do you format?
Docs?
Okay.
So if we wanted to make that move to the right instead of the left of the page.
Okay. Let's try this. I think, okay, let's go back to this toolbar because.
Toolbar buttons dialog.
Okay. I'm going to down arrow and it's here through here, and it's going to give us some keyboard commands that we can use along with the options, but you're going to hear the keyboard commands.
Redo left, print left, spelling and grammar, paint format button, styles list, Arial list box, bold left, control plus B right, toggle button.
Okay, so Control B is bold, just like in Word.
Italic left, control plus I right, toggle button.
Control I is italic.
Underline left, control plus your right, toggle button.
Underline. So let's go back up to font. Well, here, I don't know if we'll see.
Italic, Arial list
I
box.
don't do this very often. Let's try this though.
Styles, Arial list box.
I want to see, I'm going to enter on this where it says Arial list box.
Enter.
Oh boy. Okay.
Docs home link. Docs home link. Address and search. Docs escape frame document.
That's interesting. Okay.
Your name 234.
So if I want to bold this line, I'm going to go ahead and select it.
Home.
I'm going to go to the beginning of the line with home. I'm going to press Shift in to select the line.
Blank T.
I think.
Your 200 selected T.
You did, and then it disappeared.
Your city.
Yeah, that was my fault. I hit an arrow key.
Selected. Your city.
Okay.
Straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm going to press Control B.
Control B. Selected. Your city. Straight 1, 2, your city.
Now, there's a JAWS command. I went ahead and pressed an arrow key to deselect that. If I want to find out if it's bold, I can press Insert and the letter F as in Foxtrot.
Font is bold, Arial 10 point left justified.
Okay, and it told me it was left justified. Now, if
your city.
I want to right justify that.
Home. Selected.
Select it.
Your city.
Let's try Control R. I'm not sure if that's the right.
Control R. Frame. HT.
Ooh, apparently not.
Escape. Screen.
So let's go back and see. But anyway, you can go through the list in the toolbar. You can go through those list of commands and you can apply them. The font is a little tricky. I'm going to keep working with that. But if you guys have any specific questions, once again, just send an email to training@vispero.com. And that's VIS, Victor, India, Sierra, Papa, Echo, Romeo, Oscar.com. And I'll help you work through those.
Liz Whitaker is.
Do you know, Liz, if you can do first letter navigation in that toolbox?
I think you can. That's a great question. Let's see.
Toolbar buttons dialog.
So if I hit R.
R. Redo left control. Print left spelling and paint format.
So if I hit R.
R. Redo left control. R.
Ooh.
Print left spelling and paint styles list. Arial list bold left italic left underline left text color button highlight color insert link add comment insert image button menu left align center align right align left control plus shift plus R right toggle button.
Okay, so
escape.
Yes, you can do first letter navigation, or you can just
do your name
down arrow.
Home.
So I'm going to try
203 home
selecting and Control Alt. Or Control Shift R.
Control Shift R. Selected. 200. Your 234.
And
your
then
street.
I'll do Insert.
Font is Arial 10 point left justified.
Oh, didn't work. Okay.
Your name. 200.
So.
But it moved it to the right.
It did. Okay, it's just not telling me that.
Your
well, that's interesting.
Font is Arial 10 point left justified.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you can. There may be a few things that we just need to iron out and work through, of like with the font and things like that.
Okay, if you want to stop sharing, I'll open up to all panelists.
Yes, sorry about that.
Zoom, you all.
There we go.
Okay, so the chat is open. Any questions regarding opening a Google document? Can you use a Google document offline?
You can. You can download them, and then you can work on them and save them and upload them again. And you can do a lot of that through Google Drive. So, and if you want to back up and sync things, you can use Google's backup and sync tool as well. That is on desktop application.
In MS Word, I often open a document which is used like a template and then make a mess of changes on nearly every line while doing assessments and then save under a different name. That way I still have the original document to use for the next assessment. How do I avoid it auto-saving my template?
I would rename it.
I was going to say rename it right away.
Yeah,
as opposed
rename it
to
right away. Yes. And then make your changes, and then when you go back, that template will still be there.
Do you know why it is not indicating that there is a green bar at the top of your Google Doc? Now, of course, that's a visual. It's also not indicating that there are multiple spaces in your sentence. So you did have some double spacing
Sure.
in your document.
Okay. I don't know. But there again, there may be ways to have JAWS indicate that. What is the green bar for? What does that signify?
I don't know. I've never noticed a green bar myself, so that was a good one.
That's a good question. I'll have to work with that.
So when you are opening an existing Google Doc, are you taken to the place where you left off of the document or to the top of the document?
The top of the document.
Top
That's
of the
a great
document.
question. Yeah.
Okay. Someone is indicating the green bar is part of the template and it's a graphic.
Okay.
So that might be why.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be why JAWS isn't reading it. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah,
that's a good
that
question
helps a lot.
too. There's so much on the screen that JAWS users sometimes we don't know is there, and we can access some of that information. We just don't know to access it sometimes, you know. So it's good to know some of these keyboard commands.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more come in. So Jim has share a Google Doc.
Okay, let's talk about sharing a Google Doc. All right, so you share a Google Doc for the purposes of viewing and collaborating. And doc sharing allows others to view your documents. You can give them the option to just view, to be able to edit, and to collaborate with you on them. And you can adjust the level of access for the recipients. So you can access the share with people. There's also, I think it used to be an advanced button, but when I go there, it shows up as share with people and settings option for more sharing settings. So I'll show you guys that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once again.
Meeting Zoom.
Looks good.
Great. Awesome.
Your name.
So I'm going to press Alt F as in Foxtrot to activate the file menu. And then I'm going to press S as in Sierra for share.
Alt F, Chrome button menu, customize and escape.
I'll press
frame,
escape.
document.
That's another troubleshooting thing if it didn't go to the right menu, so I'll try it again.
Alt F, menu, file,
There
1
we
of
go.
9.
And I'll press S for share.
S. Leaving menus, letter dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome, file menu submenu collapsed menu, dialog, sharing frame, dialog, computer braille, share dialog, share with people and groups region, grid, add people and groups edit combo collapsed, computer braille.
Okay, so if the document has not been saved, you will be prompted to go ahead and give it a name at this time. The option to add people in groups, of course, is collapsed here, so I'll press enter to go ahead and expand it. And then I'm going to type a recipient email and adjust the level of access. Now, before we get started though, an individual does not need to have a Google account to view or edit the document, but if they do not have a Google account, or if you're sharing it with an email address that is not a Gmail address, you will need to share the document via a link instead of just sharing the document like this. And then you can adjust the document visibility settings there as well. So I'll tab through this dialog box as we do this, and then we'll share documents. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter to expand this.
Enter. There are no visited link. Add edit combo.
Okay. Try that
Space.
again.
F. Dialog. Share dialog, share with people settings button. Share with people and groups region, grid, add people and groups edit combo collapsed. Computer enter. F.
Okay,
blank.
it's working.
F.
All right,
Menu
one
for
thing I like to do to make sure it's working, because sometimes you'll type and it won't actually type anything, is I like to type a letter and then press left arrow to move to that letter and see if it actually typed. So I'm going to go ahead and type an email address here.
FSTRAINERS.
So it already added that with whatever you did previously.
Okay. Well, because I did that previously, it did add that. Okay. So I'm going to tab.
Collapsed. Dialog. Share dialog. Share with people and groups region. Grid. Add people and groups edit combo collapsed. Use JAWS key plus Alt plus M to move to controlled element. Computer braille. Dialog. Share. Share dialog. Share with people and groups region. Edit or change permission button menu.
Okay, so I'm tabbing through this list. I'm going to show you guys something here in a minute. So now we have a menu for changing the permission. So I'm going to press space on this.
Space. Expanded. Menu. Menu for selecting permission roles menu. Viewer. 1 of 3.
All right, so we have viewer. Let's down arrow here.
Commenter. 2 of 3.
Commenter.
Editor checked. 3 of 3.
So do you want the person to be able to just view the document, but you don't want to let them have the have the option to edit? Do you want them to
Commenter.
just be able to make comments on the document, or do you want to give them the capability of editing the document?
Editor checked.
And
3 of 3
is checked. And so you can press enter. Let's see what happens if I press enter here. Well,
commenter. Space. Leaving menus. Commenter.
Okay, I went up to commenter and I press space.
Grid and commenter change permission button menu collapsed menu.
But let's go back into that menu.
Space. Expanded. Menu. Menu for selecting permission roles menu. Viewer. 1 of 3.
And I'll down arrow.
Commenter checked. 2 of 3.
And now commenter is checked. So I'm going to go back down to edit.
Editor. 3 of 3.
And press enter, or you can either press enter or space here.
Enter. Leaving menus. Editor change permission button menu.
And there we go. And it reads what you chose and it checks the one that you press enter on. So I'll tab again.
Dialog. Share. Share dialog. Share with people and groups region. Notify people checkbox checked.
Okay, so that is checked. Notify people. Yes, we definitely want them to be notified when, well, you don't have to, I guess, but it will. It'll send them an email notification and press that you're sharing the document with them. So I'll press tab again.
Message edit.
All right, so if you want to send someone a message, just if you want to include the message and just tell them what the document is or tell them what you need them to do with, please review this document, make changes, or whatever you want them to do, you could type that message here. So I'll tab again.
Grid. Letter.
That tells me the name of the document I'm sharing.
Feedback button.
You could give feedback there to Google.
Cancel button.
Cancel.
Send button.
Send. We're not going to do that just yet.
Go back to people with access. Share with people and groups button unavailable. Expanded use JAWS key plus Alt plus M to move to controlled element. Send button.
All right, I'm going to.
Share with people settings button.
This is the setting, so let's go here. Let's share with people settings. I'll press space.
Space. Share with people settings region. Editors can change permissions and share. Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy button. Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy checkbox checked.
Okay, so I'm down arrowing through this, and you can just check whatever options you want.
Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy checkbox checked. Viewers, editors can change permissions and share checkbox checked.
And I can tab. I'm actually tabbing through this is what I'm doing, sorry.
Return to people sharing dialog button.
And I'll go ahead and return to the people sharing dialog by pressing space.
Space. Go back to people with access. Share with.
And I'll tab.
Dialog. Alert. From Tabitha Matthews.
So it's just a matter of tabbing through these options. And I do want to show you.
Go back to people. Share with people settings button. Share with people and groups region. Grid. Add people and groups. Edit combo collapsed. Computer braille.
Now if I up arrow here.
Remove strainers2@gmail.com.
All right, so I could remove that. If I could press delete to remove that email address. Let me try typing another one here and let's just see what happens.
T.
No.
Blank. Add. Remove strainers2. Edit or change. Grid. Add PTT. Blank. RAING. At. VIPEO.com. Expanded. Enter. Strainers2@gmail.com. Training@vispero.com. Collapsed. Dialog. Share. Share dialog. Share with people and groups region. Grid. Add people and groups. Edit combo collapsed.
Okay, I'm going to up arrow.
Dialog. Share dialog. Share with people and groups region. Grid. Remove training@vispero.com.
All right, now it usually tells me that that's not a Gmail, that this person doesn't appear to have a Google account or that's not a Gmail address. I'm going to go ahead and remove it because I don't want to share.
Before you remove it, if you up arrow again, will you get to the FS Trainers email?
Yes.
Remove strainers2@gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah. So the one difference for us visually is you up arrowing is really not what visually we see. We see a left move.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
that's interesting.
I wanted to point that out. So you are up and down arrowing to go through the list of emails that you have chosen to share.
Okay. Let me try right arrow and see what that does.
Remove training@vispero.com.
It does it as well. So
it does
either
it as well.
Up or down or left or right will move you through those.
Good to know. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm going to press delete to get rid of that.
Or remove strainers2@gmail.com. Add people and groups. Edit combo collapsed.
And again,
Computer braille.
I could enter,
Strainers 2, enter.
and I could add more people if I wanted to. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and shift tab back up to send.
Remove, share with, go back to people with, go back to people, share with people and cancel button, feedback button, cancel, send button,
There we go, and space.
space. People added, frame, document content edit, people added.
And it just told me that people were added. So yeah, so to share a document, you open the document, you press Alt F Foxtrot to go to File, you press S Sierra for share, and then you can just tab through that list, that dialog, and you can make changes. You can go into the menu buttons or the menus by pressing space on those buttons, or you can type the names of the email
Alert,
addresses.
from Leanne Grilla to everyone colon this
Sorry about that.
1/2 hours.
Sure. Just press or just type the name of the email addresses you want to add, and up and down arrow through the list to verify who you're sharing with, and press delete on an email address if you want to delete that email address, and then just tab or shift tab to send and press space.
Zoom.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you guys here. And do we have any questions?
So some of them you did answer. You were able to show who you were sharing it with by tabbing. So that one we did. And the information is open and available to you to write more of your questions in there. And then the sharing that you were doing, Elizabeth, even though it did not share or did not tell you about the person who didn't have the Gmail, if it does, will it move you to the dialog box that you would need to work in?
Oh, to do the link, to add the link? Sure. I am not sure about that. I was working with that this morning, and it was telling me who was and wasn't, who did not have a Gmail account. It didn't move me directly there, but you can access those options in the menus.
Okay. And space or enter both work all the time?
Not all the time, but oftentimes when you have a button on a web page or like the send button, you can press space or enter.
Okay. Does the JAWS text analyzer work in Google Docs?
I need to use it in Google Docs and see if it does. That's a good question. I need to use it.
So here's one. Does the teacher need to share as able to edit versus view only for a screen reader to work? I guess that question kind of gets at, is there a difference maybe between viewing it and editing it in order to have the screen reader working?
Okay, so I'm sorry.
So if I'm the teacher and the student sent me the document, will the screen reader work if it's in view only?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so it'll work so if Elizabeth, I needed JAWS and you shared a document with me, it doesn't matter if it's view or edit or comments, I can still use the screen reader to access the document.
Yes. Yeah, you can still read it. You just wouldn't, just whatever restrictions were put on it, of course, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
but you can read it. Yeah.
You can read it. Okay.
All right, so I don't see any other questions coming into the chat at this moment. So I've got the Google Docs keyboard commands slide up, Elizabeth.
All right, I'm just going to go over a few of these keyboard commands we've used today. So Control Alt and Z you can use that keyboard command to enable screen reader support. Control / is for opening a list of keyboard shortcuts in Google Docs. Alt-Shift-H allows you to access help in Google Docs. Alt and a designated letter allows you to access the menu, like, for example, Alt-F for File, Alt-T for Tools. Control-O is the command to open a document, and Control-P allows you to print a document.
Elizabeth, is there any way to turn off screen echo in Google Docs?
Yes, you can press insert. Well, this is a quick way to do it. You can either go into the verbosity and do it. You can turn off, let's see. well, maybe not. Hang on. Yeah, I think you can. I'm trying it right now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, yes. So if you want to do it, now when you leave the window, of course, that'll, the quick way to do it is to use insert and number 2, and it'll toggle you between words, characters and words, none, characters. You can also go into the JAWS settings and do that as well.
Okay. In the view only document, is there a cursor for JAWS to follow using reading commands?
It's still going to use the PC cursor. So yeah, yes.
All right, so I guess if there are other questions that you guys have related to some of the pieces that Elizabeth ran over throughout the course of the day, now's the time to throw those in, and then momentarily we'll have Mike Wood join us for a couple of comments. And then I've got a couple of things to share as well in terms of, including a free app that APH released over the weekend.
So Elizabeth, if a teacher wants to send an exam or a work paper to the student, will they choose editor then?
Yes, if you want the student to, yes, to be able to fill it out or something like that, add information, yes.
I think only this would be a Word document. If they really want a form, that's a whole different webinar.
Yes. And there are Google Forms as well, so.
All right, Mr. Wood, would you like to jump in and talk a little bit about what you guys announced earlier today with regard to access to the JAWS solution?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks very much, Jim, and thank you, Elizabeth and Leanne as well. So what I wanted to announce was just was announced short while ago this morning that we have extended the free software that was originally going to end the end of this month now through until the end of August 2020. So we wanted to do that to help out with summer school sessions and anybody that needed it, you know, to work remotely for the rest of the summer until the end of August. And the portal is up on the screen as well. You have the link on there. It's portal.freedomscientific.com/sponsored software. And another thing I want to announce is that at the end of August, you actually can go on to that same portal and there's a button where you can click renew, and we're offering a 20% discount off of a software purchase. So if you decide to purchase it, you'll get 20% off. And that kickoff was really for a lot of the summer shows that we are not going to be able to travel to, but we're going to be doing remotely. But the key to that is make sure that you renew it through that portal, because once you do that, it will actually add on the time. So if you were to renew it today, the time really won't start until the end of August. So you'll still get that free time. And then for those of you using quota funds, APH obviously is your #1 source to purchase that software. JAWS is $90 for a year and Zoom Text is $80 for a year. So you have annual subscription through APH. And then of course, make sure you check out the training sites that Elizabeth had talked about earlier, and APH for all of their upcoming webinars that they're going to be hosting, along with some of the ones that we'll be hosting as well. So thank you.
Elizabeth, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
How do you add comments into a document?
I think, let me access the toolbar. Oh, so, let's see. I believe, now it's not finding it again. Let me try. I think it's Control-Shift-M, just like in Word. Let me try it though. Yes.
So say it again.
Maybe not. Well, here, let me just go to the Control/ and type in.
While you're working on that, I will answer
comments.
yes, the software is free through August.
Also, we had a question about text analyzer. Yes, it will work in Docs.
Okay. So how did you add a comment into a document?
Okay. So you can Control-Alt-M is to add comments. So yeah, Control Alt M, just, well, you can add a comment, and you can, if you press Control / and to open up that keyboard list, command list, and then you type into the search box, you type in comments, you get a whole list of keyboard commands for that. So Control Alt M is for adding a comment. You can navigate through the comments, you can open the comment history. So yeah, you can get a list of keyboard commands like that.
Okay. Were you saying M or N?
M as in mother.
Mike?
Yes,
Mother.
M as in
Okay,
Mike.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And Sue, I answered your question in the chat, but yes, that 20% off would be off of the $90 for JAWS and the $80 for Zoom text.
Do we still have other questions that are coming in there, Leanne?
People just wanting the handout, which we'll make sure that they get. I always sent it out in the reminder email, but some people registered the moment it started. So.
Yeah. All right, so as we are wrapping up here, before we give out that final closing code and take any other final questions, just some final thoughts. We have a term here at APH, the airplane has flown. That is translation for we've launched a new product. And last week, we launched a solution called Finger Walks. This is a diverse collection of finger labyrinths that invites you to focus your mind's eye as you concentrate on traversing the twists and turns of a labyrinth. And there is some connections between mindfulness and meditation as it relates to labyrinth, and specifically finger labyrinths. And so we launched an airplane last week. We launched this solution, 16 full color tactile labyrinths and a large print guidebook to go along with them. The cost of it is $139, and it is available on or off of quota. I had a chance to talk to the author late last week, and we are going to queue up a webinar for late July or early August to go through this solution. So it is something that I would encourage you to check out. Another airplane flew as of today, and that is CodeQuest. CodeQuest is a free app that will be available for iPads only, and it is available in the iTunes store. So CodeQuest is an interactive game designed to teach coding logic to preschool and early elementary school students. So if you go to the iTunes store now, you will find this app. You can download it. Again, it will only work with iPads. It will not work with iPhones, from what I am told. And it is a solution that will allow you to introduce your little folks to the idea of coding and really putting together sequences of things. And so the idea is to get the astronaut guy who is here on the screen back to his rocket ship. So another thing that you might want to check out. And so with that, if there are any other final questions, we can do those. And then obviously a thank you to Elizabeth and Mike for joining us. Leanne, any other questions before we do that?
Do you know if the Finger Walks is accessible for non-English readers? Do you know if it's in Spanish or any other languages?
Yeah,
I don't believe so at the moment.
Correct.
I am not seeing any, so I'm going to say thank you again, Elizabeth. This was wonderful. I think we need to continue playing with our Google
Yes.
applications with the JAWS. I think that it is a platform that's used frequently. So thank you so much.
All right, and thank you guys once again for having me here today. I really enjoyed it, and we really appreciate that you took the time out of your day to join us for Google Docs and JAWS. And if you missed anything, or you know anyone who could benefit from this information, please see our training pages. You can visit www.freedomscientific.com/training. If you have any feedback or questions, once again, send an email to training@vispero.com. That's training at Victor, India, Sierra, Papa, Echo, Romeo, Oscar, Vispero.com. So thanks a lot, guys.